Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2229. Be prepared to be inspired.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm back across the pond. I seem to be in London quite a bit this year with a very special guest by the name of Eliot Wertheimer. Eliot, welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have it in gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
I am ready. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to have some fun. Now, since we're talking about an electric vehicle today, and a very unique electric vehicle, I guess there's no clutch to release because all the people I've had on the show that deal with EVs, it's just push and go. It's kind of like playing with slot
Exactly.
cars. Yeah, exactly. And we're going to talk about this. I'm going to give you an introduction. But before I do, I'd love for you to share one little thing about Eliot that most people don't know.
Okay. So that's a good question. I think an interesting thing about me that very few people know is, so I grew up in Mauritius, and about 12 years old, I had to move back to Paris. And you can imagine the life of a 12-year-old kind of Mauritian boy running around on the beach, playing football and tennis with his friends was, full of adventure. But back in Paris, I kind of I needed to find some new stimulations, let's say. And one day, I don't remember how, I understood that it was possible to create your own kind of programs on my dad's computer, right? And I started learning coding quite fast. And so at 12 years old, I was already a geek, programming little software on little programs on Visual Basic, Delphi, stuff like that, small websites. So I haven't told that to many people, but yeah, I started the computer stuff quite early.
Well, you sound a bit like Elon Musk, that other guy that's making some electric stuff in the world. He did the same thing. And I'll tell you something, I'm quite a bit older than you, of course. So when I was a kid, the idea of computers and these smartphones, it was just fantasy world. It was all Jetsons cartoon stuff. But you got to live in a world where you could actually create those things. And that leads us to what you have created today, which is an amazing company. So allow me to give you a proper introduction. We're going to dive into what you do. Eliot Wertheimer is the founder of Lavoie. He's also the CEO. It's a new premium mobility brand born from McLaren Applied on a mission to redefine personal transport through luxury, automotive, and motorsport-inspired design, engineering, and electrification. He was bitten by the curiosity bug early, as he said. Eliot studied aerospace engineering. I think I got a smart guy on the line today.
I don't deserve that.
Well, I think you do, my friend. Graduated top of his cohorts with a thesis on proof of concept radioisotope thermoelectric generators. I don't know if I can even say all those words. Nuclear batteries for nanosatellites. Oh my gosh. His research was awarded the Reaction Engines Prize and led him to pursuing a Master's of Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Management at Imperial College in London. He's pushing the envelope of what e-mobility can achieve, launching Lavoie. The design, manufacturing, delivery to customers, everything has been thought through. He's on a mission to break the status quo, challenge the perceptions of personal electronic transportation, and rewrite the rules on urban mobility of personal electric transportation. Wow, you are doing a lot, my friend. We're going to take a short break for our sponsors, so we're going to plug in the charger, get this machine going, and we'll be right back. Autumn has arrived, the weather's changing, and that means your vehicles need extra protection against everything Mother Nature can drop. Covercraft offers you a multitude of layers of protection for your special rides. Are you putting your summer toys away, watercraft, RV, motorcycles, trailers, or even your patio furniture? Covercraft has a custom fit cover for whatever your need. Covercraft offers you 10 different car cover options. That's right, 10 for your special vehicle's protection, whether stored inside or out. All carefully crafted into the form and fit with the quality and attention to detail that's been their standard since 1965. And don't forget their custom fit seat covers, pet pad. Fido's going to get wet and muddy, I guarantee it. Dash mats, sunscreens, and custom fit floor mats and trunk mats. Whatever the surface you want to protect, Covercraft has your solution. If you use the code YEAH21 at covercraft.com, you'll get 10% off your Covercraft order. That's right, 10% off. Simply use the code YEAH21 at checkout. Come on, Mother Nature, bring it on. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. When it was time to renew my collector car policy, my carrier raised my rates. By a lot. But why? My usage was the same, my car's value was the same, and I had never made a claim. I didn't even have a ticket. The only change was their rate, and they had no reason why. What's with that? I researched my options, I spoke to others, and with American Collectors Insurance, what a difference. A live person actually answers the phone. She spent time learning about me and provided a reasonable quote. Why wait until your next premium is due? Give them a call today for your personal agreed value quote. Call 866-AC1-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. Tell them you're a friend of mine, Mark Green at Cars Yeah. American Collectors Insurance, classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors, automotive enthusiasts just like you and me. That's American Collectors Insurance. So we're back. So Lavoie, oh my gosh, take us through a little bit of a journey that brought you to this point. And then we're going to talk about this very special machine because I tell my listeners, if it rolls on rubber, I love it, no matter what it is. Maybe your scooter doesn't even run or roll on rubber. There may be some molecular construction here, but
not yet. No, it does.
What brought you to this point? And then we're going to dive deep into Lavoie.
Of course. So no, it's a good story. As I said, we actually have a co-founder and a co-CEO called Albert Nassar, and both of us come from very technical backgrounds. I specialize, in space engineering. He specialized in robotics, and our career took us together kind of e-mobility ventures that were quite successful, where we developed e-bikes and e-scooters and so on. And so I think it's interesting to look at where, the fundamental project of Lavoie comes from, to answer your question. It's actually a concept and an idea that was initiated by McLaren Applied, that you mentioned before. And the idea was how do we create an e-scooter that's obviously the best in the world, but extremely premium with supercar feel, something truly unique in the sense that it would put together extreme performance, great performance in terms of, rider comfort and, being able to take over any hill, having amazing range, top power, top speed, all that stuff great, but at the same time be super light, very beautiful, and, folds so tight that you can put it anywhere in your house or in your car. So obviously, a lot of these things don't work well together. If you have a big battery, it becomes heavy. If you want to have a very comfortable ride, it becomes big. So it came with a lot of challenges and also, of course, just having a very beautiful scooter is a tough thing to achieve. And Applied managed to pull together, as they have, wonderful teams of engineers and super talented designers to create a great concept in the Series 1. And they also initiated the ideation and the concept and development of the flow fold system, which is basically our folding mechanism that effectively is our USP for the Series 1 in the sense that it is what enables everything to come together, right? It allows amazing comfort of riding it. So you have a great stem angle. It's a long wheelbase, very wide deck. It allows to have space for a huge battery, big power, big motor, nice control electronics. And at the same time, in the specific way it folds, in the sense that it reduces the height and the length of the scooter. It's really something that you can, kind of pack in your car, take anywhere in your house, under your office. It's a really tight package for a really great vehicle. And finally, what we managed to do also, we're quite happy about it, is we have sorted manufacturing for magnesium alloy frame, which, you might be familiar with that. It's used quite a lot in, motorsport and so on, which allows us to reduce the weight to a nice 16.5, 17 kilos, depending on the battery size you get, effectively. So McLaren Applied approached Albert and I to take over and finalize the design for manufacturing and, finalize a few technical things with the flow fold mechanism and the actual design of the scooter to make it manufacturable in a way that we could then, deliver it to the most people possible. We have a patent pending on the folding mechanism as well. And now we're at a stage, where, so Albert and I being co-CEOs have kind of been the last members of the team in a way to finalize the product and, give birth to Lavoie. We're at a stage where, we're basically everything is prototype ready to go, ready for manufacturing. We're soon going to open pre-orders. We're preparing a founders edition, for the first 469 customers to thank them and make them properly part of the team as some of the first Lavoie customers. And yeah, it's a super exciting time, to be honest. We have lots of very exciting projects in the pipeline as well. And, we're working with so many amazing people, extremely intelligent and talented that, every time someone comes up with an idea, it's very encouraging for the future. Let's say it like that. Sorry.
Well, of course, McLaren Applied chairman Nick Fry has developed what I'll call the dream team of all you guys, you and Albert Nassar, and then of course Formula One engineer Richard Clark at the head of your engineering team, and of course the iconic designer Ian Callum from Jaguar fame and all sorts of. So you put all these people together, and you end up with this beautiful, eloquent scooter. And you say to most people scooter, and they kind of go, oh, well, so another scooter. But this thing is very different. It's very unique. And you mentioned the suspension type idea and the way it folds up. I've got a new grandson, and the new strollers these days compared to when my children were little, push button, pop together. What you got there is pretty darn cool. Did you ever think when you go back through your career, and you're a young guy, may I ask your age?
I'm 29 right now.
Yeah, you're just a puppy, right? So
exactly.
I say that with all endearing kindness.
That's how I see myself. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's okay. If only I could go back. Yeah, most definitely. But the fact that did you ever dream, as you were coming through your career at early times, of seeing yourself in a place like this for a product like this?
Absolutely, of course. It's when you turn yourself towards a certain industry, towards, certain goals you want to achieve. I've always, wanted to be into transportation and help, as much as I can in these areas, working for McLaren Applied, developing groundbreaking products in, booming industries that, hopefully a lot of people will have in their house, will be able to use every day, and it'll make their lives better, is something, I'm quite confident to say most people would dream of, right? And I'm very happy to be there. Definitely didn't expect it to happen, but at the same time, super happy to be there, excited to have that opportunity, and ready to go.
I like to ask people about what I call our driving inspirations, inspirational people in their lives. I mean, with this team around you, your life and your daily work life is filled with inspiration. When you think about your career, is there a driving inspiration for you? Is it possible to pull one person out? At least for our talk today, no doubt you've surrounded yourself with smart people. That's another smart thing to do, by the way.
Exactly.
That really has stood out for you, that you think back and go, wow, I'm so lucky to have that person in my life.
Look, persons in my life, I think that's very dynamic. You've got the fundamental people, of course, that are there from the beginning. And that's, obviously my close family circle. So my dad, my stepdad, which were entrepreneurs. But when you have these kind of people in your life, it basically opens you to the idea of taking more risks and pursuing things that are more kind of, how do you say, that take, more courage in a way to do, because of what you expose yourself to and the lack of comfort in the beginning, I would say. But of course, you go further than that. In terms of mentors today, I think, I'm surrounded by absolutely amazing people. Like, just to quote Nick Fry again, I do see him definitely as a form of mentor and inspiration. I mean, and him and some other people at McLaren Applied that work in different areas, in the sense that you meet all these brilliant, overachieving people that, have been extremely successful in the past, or currently, being super successful. And, you really observe what it takes to get there. And at the same time, I think one thing I've observed with everyone, in that case, specifically, Nick Fry, and other people of his caliber, is that, of course, the brilliance and all the achievements and the great ideas and the great capacity to understand everything, you see it and you kind of expect it, to be honest. But what really surprised me, and that's unanimous, is that everyone of that caliber, and of course Nick Fry and everyone else, is extremely kind to others, very understanding. They create an environment that makes you want to do great, that fosters, everyone participating and overachieving, right? And that's not something you necessarily expect. You might expect bosses and people like that to be quite tough and quite demanding, but actually, I've observed the opposite. Of course, they're demanding, but you see this really wonderful place that they create around them to work and thrive. And I thought that was something that, really taught me a lot and I didn't expect, right? And just to finalize, of course, today the world, with the internet and all the great technology coming out, there's a lot of really, really inspiring people. Someone I've been following closely recently is Carl Pei, the founder of OnePlus, Nothing, doing really amazing things. And there's, James Dyson and other amazing, entrepreneurs that have done wonderful things. We're quoting just two of them, right? There's a lot more.
Oh yeah, there are a lot more. You know, the transportation world is changing in a way that I've never seen in my lifetime. And being I'll call myself a more mature guy versus older guy. What's happening right now in the EV world is redefining so many different things. And I would love your impressions on that and as it relates to what you're developing there at Lavoie.
Yeah, of course. So I think when you look at electric vehicles, you got to look at the fundamentals, right? So most people see it as purely a solution to climate change and, other issues we're currently having, fossil fuels and of course noise and congestion in cities and so on. But the funny thing is that fundamentally, and I hope I don't get, too much criticism for that, but I think that fundamentally electric vehicles are much better than, petrol vehicles, in the sense that if you look at the physics of it in terms of the power delivery, the feeling of riding it, the immediate torque you get, just how much simpler it is to create an electric vehicle than a petrol one, combustion engine one, is, it's very significant. And so it reduces maintenance, eventually you reduce costs for manufacturing and so on. So of course you have the great challenge of energy density in the sense that, petrol, gasoline, I keep saying petrol, but fossil fuel, based, power sources are effectively very dense in energy, right? That's why they're very difficult to move away from. And today we're at a stage where lithium ion batteries have basically enabled, electric cars, like you've seen with Tesla first, and now a lot of, car manufacturers. And you've had the same trend going on to electric scooters and electric bikes and so on. So batteries have basically got to a point where you can now create vehicles that can take you, for hundreds of miles, and that charge super fast. And I think that's amazing in the sense that, in terms of lithium ion, like that technology is quite well developed. I'm sure it's going to progress further, but, you've got incredible research going around all over the world to kind of open other, wonderful things in terms of energy density and clean technologies to power vehicles. And I think that's the very exciting thing today, right? You also have, of course, autonomous driving cars and so on. But, we're about to crack, hopefully, in the next, decades, other energy sources, or not sources necessarily, but ways to store energy and electricity that are super exciting, because then you might end up with even lighter vehicles, with even more range that, are works so well with, renewable sources and clean technologies that, we accelerate our move to a better society much faster than we anticipate now. And that would be the goal. And I think that's what I find fascinating with the automotive industry, because it's quite leading in that direction, right?
Very well said. Your Lavoie is lithium ion powered. Is that what will power that?
It is lithium ion powered.
Yeah,
exactly.
It is tremendous. Going back to my lifetime in and around cars, being a car fanatic, a nutcase, a crazy person when it comes to cars, it was always about 0 to 60 times and all of these things. And that is gone now, because a very inexpensive electric vehicle can blow a Porsche Turbo off the road when you look at it that way. And in quite reality, who really cares about that unless you're drag racing? I mean, it's nice to have the instant power, but these electric vehicles, oh my gosh, if I had hair, they'd blow it back when you step on the throttle. It's quite exhilarating. I want to talk a little bit about challenges, and I like to ask my guest about what I call the challenge question, something in your life that really set you back, was a great challenge, but more importantly, what did it teach you that you look back now as a very valuable lesson?
So that's a very good question, actually. So obviously, I've had a lot of failures and challenges, like everyone, I think. I think a key one relating to my career and what I've learned, to get better and that, allow me to get here today was what you mentioned before. So my thesis, this radioisotope thermoelectric generator, which basically is a complicated term to say a nuclear battery. The whole point and the idea behind it, it was commissioned, by space agencies and so on. And the whole point around it was to find a way to move away from plutonium effectively. So just to give you a bit of context, if we have time.
Yes.
So it's very interesting. I'm fascinated by that. I think it's amazing. So when you send stuff in space, when you go before Mars in a way, anything that's closer to Mars, to the sun, you can use solar panels, right? Because the light of the sun has enough energy to power most systems that we want to send there, right? But once you get to Mars or further, that light is not dense enough in a way, so you cannot extract enough energy to power a robot and so on. So, very clever people have come up with nuclear batteries or these radioisotope generators. And what they do is they take a radioactive material that produces a lot of heat over a long period of time, and they use that heat to make electricity. And that allows you to go super far away, further from anything. The Voyager probes are now like almost out of our solar system.
Yeah.
And they run by that, I don't know how many years, I don't want to say something wrong, but 20, 30 years later, probably even more than that, 40 years even, are still powered by these things, right? But the problem is that they're inherently very heavy, first of all. So one of my goals was to make it smaller, much smaller, to be in small satellites. And the other one is that plutonium is good because it has a lot of energy to resist decay. It radiates a lot of energy, but also it's also very easy to shield against in terms of radiation, but it's extremely toxic and it's horrible to make. You have to make it through fission reactors. So there's not that much plutonium stored at one time on Earth, right? I think NASA has some, and, Russian agencies also have some, and that's it. And so, I was kind of, 21, I think, something like the 22, and given that project, but I'd never studied, anything related to radioactive stuff or, even thermal modeling or stuff like that was to the level that was necessary to complete that project. And there were a lot of expectations, right? So I obviously you've got that approach to it, which is you panic a little in the beginning and you're like, how am I going to do this? And then you just decide to accept the suffering and you're like, okay, I'm just going to give everything I've got, go full head down, full on, and see what happens, right? And I had quite an intense year that year, really hardworking and so on, and just really pushing as much as I could to achieve this and finalize it. But what I realized is that if you set yourself goals, even when you deem yourself that you don't know enough or you're not in a place that you could actually achieve those goals, if you actually set yourself goals and accept the suffering and then just go for it again and again relentlessly and with a lot of resilience, because you will fail a ton of times, right? Effectively, you can get in a place where you surprise yourself with how much you end up knowing and how much you end up achieving, right? And that's kind of that's like my biggest learning, honestly, in my career, if you can include academics in a career. In my personal case, right? As in I was a student there, is that with enough efforts and dedication, you can really achieve, things that you don't expect from yourself, right? And also resilience and capabilities to deal with pain. So I think that's my biggest challenge. And that taught me the most was definitely that project and what came from it, effectively.
I love your words, Eliot. Accept the suffering. Now, there's a success quote. I watched a great movie last night. Mark Wahlberg was Father Stu. It was a true story about a gentleman and his journey, and that's one of the things that came out there. Now, there was religious connotations. However, if you apply that to any part of your life, if you try things, push yourself, risk, and accept the suffering. I think that's a hard thing for people to do, is accept suffering as part of the process, a good part of the process, while it might hurt a bit during the time. But very eloquently said. I really appreciate you sharing that story. That's fantastic. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back. You listeners know that I'm a huge car care fanatic, and my friends at AutoGeek created their Wolfgang Deep Gloss Paint Sealant for perfectionists like you and me. Wolfgang Deep Gloss Paint Sealant is designed to provide long-lasting protection and a glossy, slick finish that, well, it's unmatched. The use of polymer technology ensures your paint is protected from environmental contaminants, those damaging UV rays, and lasts up to 3 months long. By providing the glossy look of carnauba wax with the longevity of a synthetic formula, Wolfgang Deep Gloss Paint Sealant is the best of both worlds. Go to autogeek.net to get yours for the best product selection on the internet today, along with their skilled technical support. Autogeek.net is where I go for all my detailing needs. That's autogeek.net. You know what? We are all wired differently, and not everyone needs to go to a 4-year university. Technical education and the skilled trades matter, and one can build a solid career as an auto, diesel, or collision technician. There are no longer blue-collar jobs, they're new-collar careers, as the technology and skill sets have become so advanced. Support career and technical education by getting involved with TechForce Foundation. It's a Cars Yeah! Charity of choice. Learn more at techforce.org. Are you looking for a way to get your products or services into the ears of thousands of automotive enthusiasts around the globe? I can help. This is Mark Green here at Cars Yeah! And I'd be honored to be an influencer and ambassador for your brand in a unique and personal way. Thousands of subscribers and listeners enjoy the Cars Yeah! Podcast and website. Contact me today and I'll show you how at mark@carsyeah.com or connect with me through the Cars Yeah! Website at carsyeah.com. Can we look ahead a little bit? Is there, if I had you bring your crystal ball out, is there some clarity in the next, let's say, 3 years? I don't want to go too far further than that because it's hard to see that far. With Lavoie, of where we go from here?
Look, yeah, I'm limited in what I can disclose right now, but we are a big team of engineers with a lot of backing, wonderful company behind us. So we're packed with projects and great innovations in the pipeline to the rhythm of what I can say is probably multiple new products announcement per year, right? And every time our goal is to, address a specific category with, wonderful innovation and something truly unique, not just another product that will, of course we want to compete and there's wonderful competitors out there, really, really inspiring. But, our goal is to truly come up with something new every time and be at the state of the art. So with, the Series 1, you've got the flow fold system and, other things around about it.
Awesome.
That, we're going to talk about soon, and then future products also will be like that.
We will keep our eyes peeled at your website for things coming in the future. I want to talk a little bit about your passion for mobility vehicles. Is there a special vehicle when you look back in your life that really stands out?
Actually, there is. I would say there's probably two big inspirations for me in terms of vehicles, if you can see it like that. So I would say the first one is when I was 15 years old, I, without telling my mom, ordered a kind of Chinese mini dirt bike from the internet for like 150 euros or something. Got it. Obviously, it was a bit of a death trap and a bit underwhelming in terms of performance, but I started tinkering with it, for a few months and then got it to a really nice place, where, great power, performance and so on. And that's the first time I saw how you can, with your hands, really make things better in a way. So it's quite inspiring. I played with that a lot and it was really fun to use and to do. Also kind of launched me a lot on the path of, engineering and science, really like that. And another one, just a little wink at it, is probably my mom's Fiat Panda, which I've taken all over Paris, all over France to kite surf, with a few friends. So that's good memories also,
Yeah, the Fiat Panda. Yeah.
Vehicles.
That little Fiat's a car that never made it over here, but I'm familiar with that vehicle, and having traveled to Europe a lot, I've seen those things. But a Chinese mini dirt bike, very interesting. Yeah. My sister and I each had Honda Trail 70s as kids. From about the age 12, we used to camp down in Mexico a lot, and then we'd bring those down and ride up and down the beach. Yeah, that kind of is fun. You get that first taste of freedom, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm a big two-wheeler guy. I love the feeling of riding and flying that you get from them, right? Love cars also, definitely, but more of a two-wheeler guy.
Do you ride a bike these days?
I have actually my vehicle that I use the most. My only vehicle right now in London is an Indian FTR, a motorcycle.
Yeah.
From 2021. And I use that, to go anywhere, my e-bikes can take me basically. I love that bike. Very fun to use.
Well, especially in London, that's about the only way to get around. It's so congested there when it comes to cars. So I have a degree hanging on the wall somewhere around here. Don't ask where it is because I can't find it. But a degree in car psychology that I applied to myself. I'm going to take you to a place that I think nobody has ever taken you. If you were reincarnated, pun intended, as a vehicle, what would Eliot Wertheimer be, but more importantly, why?
Okay, in the sense what I want to be or what I would actually be?
No. You don't get to get off that easy. Everybody wants to be a sexy F1 car or a Ferrari or something, but this is how you perceive the man in the mirror.
Okay, that's a good question. Because in terms of what I would have loved to be, I would have stayed an Aston DB11 probably. But that's
nice.
That's dreaming.
I wouldn't mind being one of those either.
Exactly. No, actually, that's a very good question. I think I see myself a little bit as like an SUV, probably an electric SUV.
Okay.
A brand that I love, a company that I love is probably Polestar. I love what they're doing. So, the Polestar electric SUV, in the sense that it relatively remains humble in terms of how it perceives itself and so on. But at the same time, there's a lot of capabilities to deliver, to achieve, and it's giving those means to itself. And specifically, there's a lot of inbuilt resilience to, challenges and failures and obstacles. And I think it's something I've managed to build inside of myself. So probably an SUV to, adapt to many terrains is probably the best way I would see myself as reincarnated,
Nice answer to that question. I think that makes...
And electric for obvious reasons, right?
Well, of course. Yeah, you got to go there. Absolutely. So we love books here on Cars. Yeah. Is there a great book that you've read that you'd like to share?
I've got two favorite books. They're not related to cars.
That's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, that's okay. So I have quite a spiritual side. I love that side of life, It depends on how you look at it, but I think it can bring a lot to people, no matter, your personal beliefs. And two books I absolutely love that in a way changed my life. There's a lot of learnings in there. The first one is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And the second one is a autobiography of a yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And, it's beautiful approaches to life, both a bit different, but in my opinion, going to the same place. And, I would recommend anyone to read those. I think it's, wonderful perspectives about life and what it all means.
Yeah, great books. Thank you for recommending those. So I'm going to enable you to go on what I call the ultimate drive today. I am the ultimate benefactor. I have a huge checkbook here, so I'm going to enable you to have any car in the world parked in your driveway. You can take it anywhere in the world. And here's the key for a guy like you who surrounds himself with really great people. You can take anybody with you, even somebody from the past who's no longer with us. So what does this ultimate drive look like for you?
Wow. That's actually a great question. Does it have to be a car? No.
No. I've had, interestingly, just a few weeks ago, somebody wanted to get launched into space like Elon's Rocket Man in that Tesla.
Wow, okay.
So, yeah, it can be anything. The world's, when you have an unlimited amount of money, that can be an issue because it opens up a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, because, Mark, you're telling me you have a magic wand, right? So I might as well make the best of it.
Yes, right? You might as well. It's like the genie out of the bottle. You only get 3 wishes.
Exactly. No, I would definitely go in a fighter jet then, fly around in one of those, the Rafale from Dassault or something like that.
Yeah.
100%. A nice little trip on those would be amazing.
Okay.
Who would I take with me? Specifically for that, probably my best friend, just to say how on earth are we in that plane right now. Little side thing is that he named his son after that plane, the Rafale. So it'll be a funny conversation to be had. And then the second person, I think it's a bit cliche, obviously, but, I'm fascinated by that person is obviously Albert Einstein. I know how it sounds, but to me, what he achieved at 24 years old, it's bewildering. I would love to meet the person and have a conversation with him, and if we can be in a fighter jet, even better than that.
Yeah. I'll tell you something interesting. You're the first person to go in a fighter jet. And
really cool.
I find that fascinating, but I'm not surprised having got to know you better today. But that would be pretty cool. I had a good childhood friend who grew up to fly fighter jets, F-14s in the Navy. Wow. And I remember getting to go over to the Top Gun school where he was and get to climb up in and sit in one of those things. And having him be a friend since he was a little boy, I looked at him and I said, holy cow. What a long ways you've come. He flew off of, aircraft carriers and flew around the world. And pretty darn cool. And the planes of today, they just rolled out a new stealth bomber the other day here.
I saw that one. Yeah, I saw that one.
Oh my gosh. Looks like a spaceship.
Wow.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Looks at we're in the future now.
Well, we are. Yeah. And you wonder what they're working on now that's going to come out in 10 years or 20 years. It's pretty amazing.
Exactly.
You know what, Eliot, you've taken us on a fascinating journey today. This company that you and your team are building, Lavoie Electric, is absolutely phenomenal. I encourage all my listeners to check you guys out. I'll put links to your show notes page, lavoieelectric.com. More is to come, of course, but it's a fun start. Before I let you go, would you share some parting words of wisdom or inspiration with our listeners today?
Okay. So as you said, I'm quite young to be given wisdom around, but I think, I'll just give my 2 cents on my career up to now. I think what I've learned, looking obviously at myself, at people around me, is that it's important to pursue something that excites you and that makes you dream, but at the same time to stay, realistic and pragmatic. You still need to make a living and, to be taken to a place that's, safe. And I would say that the key to achieving things also, in my experience, mainly what I've observed from other people around me, like wonderful, inspiring people, is again, resilience, capacity to accept suffering, to take you to beautiful places. And, just being okay with failing a lot of times. I don't think, anyone on earth ever achieved something. I know everyone says that and talks about it a lot, but it's true. Everyone kind of has failed many times, no matter what they've tried, and that's how you get to the final destination, right? So I would definitely, that's my 2 cents right now. It's accepting those things and just going for it with a lot of thoughts about things, right? And the last thing I would say is also, in those amazing people I've seen, is that work-life balance, being able to have not just fully absorbed in what you do professionally, but also have a wonderfully kind of side life in a way with sports or health or relationships, family, etc. is also something that I think is quite important. And I'm going to make a lot of effort to, maintain as I go forward.
Well, I'll tell you something, Eliot. A lot of folks pick on the younger generation these days. I think it's been the same throughout the generations of time, but you've given me a huge amount of confidence in the future of where we're going. Well, absolutely. People like you are making things happen, and my hat's off to you and what your whole team is doing there at Lavoie. It's so nice to, well, you're welcome. It's so nice to spend some time with you, and you have some very, very mature
likewise.
thoughts of wisdom. Hey, I want to do a shout out to all my friends at Influence eMobility. They brought me some great guests there, and it's really, this company is one that's the world's first leading PR firm in eMobility, so check them out. I'll put a link to their website on Eliot's show notes page as well. They brought me a lot of great people. Eliot, thank you for being so generous today with your time and your expertise and sharing your wisdom with us. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot for having me. See you, Mark.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.